Is the point, folks. Obviously, that is the opinion part, not the fact part. All right, so how are progressives going to deal with this when so many people who they want to help are in the spot that they may lose their jobs if they don't get the vaccine? Two analysts from the left side of the aisle, Chris Hahn, host of the Aggressive Progressive, Jason Nichols, senior lecturer at the University of Maryland who studies these things. Jason, start with you on the numbers. Does the Free Beacon have a point that the people who conceivably are going to lose their jobs the most over these mandates are the least fortunate among us?
So first of all, we don't know what the mandate says. And I think that's one of the things that's being misunderstood. OSHA is going to draft the final rule, and they're going to avoid many of the legal challenges. They're going to allow for religious exemptions. They're going to allow for people who fall under the Americans with Disabilities Act and others who may be able to opt out of the vaccine. There may even be some allowance for people who have already caught COVID. So we don't even necessarily know what the rule is going to be. We've only heard Joe Biden speak sternly because he is exhausted, as many of us are, with people being hospitalized and people dying over this vaccine or over this pandemic, when we have one of the major answers of slowing this pandemic down.
I understand being frustrated. I think all of us are frustrated. None of us like wearing masks. I mean, a lot of people have taken issue with trying to shame people or coerce people. It's been a way that hasn't necessarily worked. Interestingly enough, there's a lot of folks who maybe one or two of you agree with who want to go much farther. Take a listen.
There are privileges associated with being an American, that if you wish to have these privileges, you need to get vaccinated. Travel and having the right to travel interstate, it's not a constitutional right as far as I know.
Chris, I know in the Soviet Union, they check your papers when you go from city to city. I didn't know that was an American thing.
Oh, you definitely have a right to go from city to city as an American. It's part of our Constitution, not infringing on interstate commerce. That said, you don't have a right to go there on an airplane or on a train or in a bus. If you want to drive your own car, if you want to walk there, ride a horse, have at it. But you don't have a right to go on a plane. So I think people need to get vaccinated. I think Biden should have actually mandated vaccinations for air travel and train travel immediately, and bus travel,
It's
frankly.
Fascinating that you brought that. Hold on, just Chris, I'm going to let you make your point, but I want to ask you a follow-up first. Why didn't he do that? Those were so easy. They're not subject to any kind of lawsuits. We know the president has the power to have these sweeping COVID vaccine mandates. He didn't do any of that. Instead, this end run with OSHA that challenges whether or not the executive rules really allow him to do it. Why the end run?
I think the industry has already taken up that challenge. Delta, other airlines are starting to require those vaccines for their employees and their passengers. So I think you're going to start to see that. And if we don't see
Chris, you could have tied vaccine mandates to federal benefits. You could have tied them to federal dollars for transportation to states. You could have done all sorts of things that would have been much easier legally and much more coercive, if you will. The president didn't do that. Why not?
You know what? I think he should, and I think he will. I think we've had enough with the carrots in this country. There are some people that need a stick. And it's time to get out the stick and get people vaccinated. The only way we're going to get this under control is to get people vaccinated. You have a right not to get vaccinated in this country. You don't have a right to give COVID-19 to somebody's kid who is unvaccinated. So people need to be a little bit more responsible. Stop listening to the quacks who are telling them that this is somehow going to change their life or make them sick or make them want to do Microsoft Excel or something. Go get vaccinated.
You know, Jason, I want to bring up this poll, which I thought was interesting. Working Americans continue to support vaccine requirements by their employer. 57%, which in a country as divided as we are, 57% is a lot of folks. Working Americans who say they want their employer to have a vaccine mandate. Do you think that poll number changes if you change it from employer mandate to government mandate?
I don't, honestly. I think that number, that 57%, represents people who want to see this pandemic end. So I don't think that that number is going to change, whether it comes from the government. The government is compelling businesses. The business community has been behind it. As a matter of fact, the business roundtable led by Joshua Bolten, who was a former chief of staff to George W. Bush, he praised Joe Biden for this decision. Even the Chamber of Commerce, which is conservative, they praised this decision by Joe Biden. So I think that that number represents people like you and me who are tired of this pandemic. We want to be able to go to concerts and not have to worry. We worry about bringing it back to our children, whether we're vaccinated or not. We're concerned about those sorts of things. And I think that that's what that 57% represents.
All right, I got about 20 seconds for each of you. Chris, how long, in your words, till the hammer comes down?
I think by the end of the year.
Wow.
If we're starting to see this thing spread out of control again late in the year, the hammer's coming down. People are there are going to be mandates tied to any legal reason to give it to somebody. And quite frankly, we've had enough. People got to grow up in this country.
Jason, you agree with that?
Yeah, I think by the end of the year sounds about right.
Wow.
I think that this pandemic has to end. We've got to show that this, I think that we also should still try to use the carrot rather than just the stick. But I definitely think
carrots are part of this. You got folks who now got paid time off to go get the vaccine, paid time off if they have any complications from it. Gents, appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right.
Thanks for having us.
Great conversation. Facebook and privacy are two words that don't usually mix well, but don't worry, it's